Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Celtic Way YouTube channel, X page, and YouTube page, X page, and Facebook page. My name is Ryan McGinley at the Ryan McGinley on the X handle. I'm joined by A Haggerty10 on the X handle, Tony Haggerty. Tony, how you doing? We've got the draw. We know who Celtic are going to be playing in the league phase of the Champions League. Couldn't have asked for a much better draw there.
We've bemoaned the fact that we've felt hard done by in draws of the past. I think that's the kindest that the AI generator could have been for us, Ryan. Look at them, look at that draw and you look at some of those teams. On the face of it, you think some of them are doable ties. You're a wee bit more buoyed and confident in the fact of the matter is Celtic have even spent some money today on new players, so you're feeling good about yourselves and you're feeling good about that draw. I think it's as good as Celtic could have hoped for.
Yeah, I'm just going to read out the teams that Celtic have facing. This is going from pot 1 to pot 4 in order. This isn't the exact order in which the games are going to be played. That will be figured out on Saturday when the fixtures are released for each game. So in pot 1, Celtic have got an all-German affair. RB Leipzig at home, familiar opponents. Borussia Dortmund away from home. Celtic will be up against the yellow wall at the Signal Iduna Park Stadium. Then in pot 2, they'll travel to Bergamo to face Atalanta before facing Club Brugge at home, another favourable tie, potentially a quick return for Arne Engels to play against his former team, or the team that he started his professional career at. In pot 3, they've got Young Boys and Dinamo Zagreb away from home in Croatia. And then at home, they have got Slovan Bratislava and they're travelling to Birmingham to face Aston Villa. I think out of the glamour ties, Tony, the ones that really stick out are Borussia Dortmund, Atalanta, and of course Aston Villa. They're probably the toughest pot 4 team that Celtic could have got, but at the same time, I think they did quite well in pots 1 to 3, so they'll take that, won't they?
Love a Battle of Britain, Ryan. Love all that kind of stuff. Bring it on.
Stan Collymore was calling for it this morning.
Yeah, I was delighted when they drew Villa. I think it'll be great. So, listen, I think the draw's been kind. Going to Bergamo to play Atalanta is exciting. You said the one draw you wanted was Borussia Dortmund away. Well, as if by magic again, Ryan, it's happened. So you'll be delighted at that. And if the Celtic Way are kind enough to send someone to Dortmund, you've put your dibs on that, haven't you? Because you wanted.
I did talk about that this morning. That was the one tie.
It's the one tie. I certainly wouldn't stand in your way, fella, if that were the case. And hopefully you achieve that wee dream at the minute, and they send you to that. That'll be a great night. But yeah, listen, I think everybody's just buoyed by what's happened today. The signing of Enkels has really lifted everybody. Possible signing of Austin Trusty, that they're locked in talks, hearing that possibly that deals have been agreed but not actually confirmed yet, and still possibly another midfielder. Luke McCowan's been touted as that midfielder, but that draw's just lifted everybody's spirits, hasn't it? Because you're not, with the exception of, I suppose, Dortmund and Atlanta, it could have been a hell of a lot crueler, Ryan, and pitched you in with real Champions League heavyweights. You look at the majority of those ties and you think Celtic have got a fighting chance in all of those games, and having strengthened the squad, now you see why Brendan Rodgers wanted players of quality to come in. Because, you're getting excited now about possibilities that Celtic could maybe go in there and not just participate and really, really do compete, Ryan. That's what I'm getting excited about.
I'm looking at the home games in particular, Tony. RB Leipzig, Club Brugge, Young Boys, and Slovan Bratislava. I think Celtic could pick up points in every single one of those games and win the vast majority of them, if not all of them, if they put their minds to it. Yes, they've still got a bit of work to do before the close of play tomorrow evening, but you've got to be in it to win it in these competitions. Some tough away ties, but at home, you've got this is the league phase in which to. This is the league phase in which to make sure rebuild that fortress that has not been there at Celtic Park.
Yeah, I said it for a while, Ryan. to have any chance of qualifying from this section into the knockout phase, you've got to win your home ties. That was Celtic's downfall last season. They won the dead rubber against Feyenoord, and everybody celebrated it. It was a kind of, you got that albatross off your back, didn't you? You know what I mean? Around it, that was around your neck, and having not won a Champions League game for so long. So they've experienced that, and now's the time to capitalise on that and really go and make a fist of this group and win your home matches. If you can win your home matches, you're setting yourself up brilliantly for the away ties. And I would love it to be that kind of. Imagine going to Villa with something resting on it. Hopefully it's not, and they've qualified at that point. But imagine going to Villa, Battle of Britain, to try and qualify for the next phase. I think that'd be great. It'd be all set up for that. It'd be fantastic. But win your home ties, and you're looking at those games, as you say, Leipzig, Brugge, young boys, and Bratislava. Nobody frightens you there, do they? Nobody.
No, and it does look. You don't want to disregard some of the teams in here, but some of these teams are relatively new faces to the Champions League. They've been maybe plying their trade more in the Conference League or the Europa League as well. So that suits Celtic, and it shows that Celtic do belong in this competition. If you've got other teams like that are also plying their trade in pot 3 and pot 4. Pot 1 was very, very generous to Celtic. I was watching some of the teams getting pulled out of the pots, and then the magic button that Cristiano Ronaldo was pressing that decided every team's fate, which was actually quite exciting, if you ask me. That's actually something I want to talk about after we talk about the draw, about how exciting the new system was to watch. Even if you didn't really know what was going on for the first time, I think we'll know for next time how it's going to be generated. But once all of the fluff was out of the way, out of the pre-match fluff, then it was a joy to watch, and it was really, really exciting. Celtic belong in the Champions League, Tony. They're a Champions League side. They've won the European Cup in 1967. They can make a right fist of this group, judging by the teams that they've got in this draw. I look at Dortmund. That's such an exciting away day. I look at Atalanta, an exciting away day. Dinamo Zagreb, Croatia, lovely part of the world. So they're all favourable away ties as well in terms of away trips. It really is the best of both worlds. But I would say the big thing at home, winnable ties. Leipzig, Celtic have beat Leipzig at home before. Club Brugge, always a difficult game against them. Kilmarnock will be looking for a bit of revenge from Celtic on Club Brugge because they faced them. And young boys as well in Slovan Bratislava. It's an exciting draw, isn't it, Tony? It's really, really exciting. I keep on coming back to that. So I just want your thoughts on the draw, and also your thoughts on the way the draw was done as well.
I don't think anybody knew what was happening in the draw, but Celtic got a favourable draw. That we have to say that.
It was Cercle Bruges. Sorry, before people say it was Cercle Bruges instead of Club Bruges. Of course, it was.
It's the first time that the new draw had been shown live on TV, so everybody will get a handle on it now and know what's happening. But as I say, you couldn't have picked a better draw for Celtic, to be honest. And before anybody gets carried away, that I think you have to temper it with realism that Celtic have only won one Champions League tie in 10 years. But as I said before, there's a recalibration for this tournament, which I think is why Brendan Rodgers has banged on about getting quality players in the door in order to go and compete. And I think looking at that, Celtic can more than compete with those teams in that group. That's not to say that we'll win the lion's share of the matches. You have to earn the right to win, but certainly you're not looking at that draw. Nothing there makes you frightens you or scares you immediately, does it? And that was the big takeaway for me, Ryan. I've said it before: a recalibration, a new Champions League format, a new way of thinking, a new Celtic. I think this is the way we have to enter this tournament. Champions League era has come and gone. This is a new Champions League phase, different competition. Your mindset has to be different, and you have to be getting in there thinking those 4 home games, let's win all 4. That for me is, that'll be your kind of bread and butter and your start to see how well you can actually compete in this tournament. Start by winning your home games, and then going away and seeing if Brendan Rodgers' style can pick up points on the road. As I say, you temper it with the fact that their European record hasn't been great in the past decade, but it's been and it's gone. We move forward, and we're moving forward with a confident team, a confident manager, and a confident set of fans who are looking forward to this tournament now, and might have been looking through the cracks in their fingers at the draw prior to it if it had given you a nightmare draw. One of the commenters is saying that Atalanta, with Pete McGee saying Atalanta was scary. Yeah, I mean, you've got to play some top teams, but it could have been a lot worse, I think. But I say I look at that and I'm not frightened by any of them, Ryan. And that for me is a huge thing for Celtic and their fans. I'm sure the manager will say that as well. Some cracking ties in there, and I know before the people come in, I know that's not the way the fixtures will come out. It's been published on Saturday. I would just love Aston Villa to be the last game. I think it would be fantastic if you had a Battle of Britain with something riding on it. That's all I know. I know that's not the actual way because the fixtures have been published on Saturday, aren't they, Ryan?
Yeah, we'll find out on Saturday. I'm not sure exactly what time it is, but we will find out when Celtic will be going to each of these grounds. I think it's just a really exciting draw in general. Winnable ties at home, exciting away days. You look at Borussia Dortmund, what an exciting away day. Bergamo, you're going to the Europa Conference League final champions. And you're going to Zagreb with an actual chance as well. That's a favourable away tie. And Aston Villa, Battle of Britain, as you talk about. It's just that there's so much to look forward to here. And, there's so many storylines that can come from that. Well, Borussia Dortmund, Celtic have Celtic faced Borussia Dortmund in any competition before? Have the two sides met?
Yeah. Played them in the 80s in the UEFA Cup. And they also played them in the 90s as well. They played, I think, 86. Lost
Obviously,
over
they've got links with Paul Lambert. Paul Lambert's that link.
Yeah, 92. I think they played them as well in Europe and lost over 2 legs. So yeah, it's they played them for. I think they've not played Atalanta before. They've played Young Boys before. Can't remember if they've played Slovan Bratislava. Somebody in the comments might be able. I'm not so sure. Certainly not played Aston Villa either, to my knowledge. So there's a few teams in there that they've played before. So, yep, Martin T. Murdo played from here. That was in the 80s. Murdo McLeod left Celtic, went to Dortmund, and then came back in European football, and Dortmund triumphed over Celtic. Yeah, so I think they've beaten Celtic in the 2 times they've played them. To my knowledge, there might even be more times, but that's trying to go through the Rolodex in my mind, Ryan. So, yeah. Slovan Bratislava. Yeah, was that the team that Celtic lost 5-0 to, Ryan?
I need to double check that because there's so many teams that are coming out at the same time. We'll find out more about these storylines as the days and weeks go on. Because I think one of the biggest storylines, to be honest, Tony, is the fact that Arne Engels. That's the big story that's coming out today. Apart from the Champions League draw, it looks as if Celtic are going to break their transfer record. How fitting to break their transfer record when this mammoth Champions League draw has taken place. £11 million, and he's already going to be facing the team that he grew up with, probably his boyhood team, the team that he was playing for, the NXT FC, the reserve team, going back to play Club Brugge at home for Celtic for his new team. That must be so exciting for him. And if he'd had any doubts about joining Celtic, which I'm sure he doesn't, then there you go. There's your proof as to why you should be playing in the Champions League, because these things happen. It's the only way it can happen.
Yeah, good old commenter. Somebody put in the comments it was Art Media Bratislava. It beat Celtic 5-0. It didn't sit with me well. The Slovan Bratislava. I just couldn't remember the name. It was kind of like try to remember in my head. But yeah, it was Armedia, Bratislava, not Slovan Bratislava that beat Celtic 5-0 in Europe. Gordon Strachan's time. Celtic won 4-0 in a return. Yeah, I think Arne Enkels will be rubbing his hands with glee at that, won't he? I think he'll be just delighted because I believe he wanted to come to Celtic. So he'll look at those ties and he'll think, yep, we want to get right in about that, won't he? And he's got a chance to really announce himself with that draw and play in some wonderful football matches. He'll be playing the Europa League holders. He'll be playing in Dortmund, a wonderful stadium there, and he'll be playing against Aston Villa in a Battle of Britain. So, listen, as you say, if he wasn't sure he'd made the right move, he'll know now that he has, because this is exciting.
And
listen, I know
to anybody on the fence as well that's still to join the club as well as Engels, they'll want to join after seeing that. What an opportunity! What a spotlight to be unleashed upon.
Yeah, and nobody's been carried away because, as I say, Celtic's record in Europe leaves a lot to be desired. But that's what I'm talking about. This new mindset. This is a new tournament. You have to just hit refresh on all of this and go in with a confident frame of mind that you can win your home games and you take what you get in your travels. But let's prioritise those home games, Ryan, and turn last season's form and those marginals. Turn them into marginals for yourself. The Atletico Madrid draw, turn it into a win. The Lazio game where you could have won it, thought you'd won it, then somehow snatched defeat from it, from the jaws of victory, or even a point. So let's turn those games, the close marginal ones, into wins. Yep. And the Celtic Park crowd have got a huge part to play on these nights. They always do play their part, but this is no chance to make history in this tournament, because it's the new format, and go and make a name for yourself. And that's the carrot for guys like Arne Enkels and any new signings coming in. Going into this stage and prove that you belong there, that Celtic do belong there, as you spoke about at the top of the programme. We do belong in this company. Go and show why. Go and be the best representation of yourself that you can be, and the best representation of this club that you can be. And I think we've got a manager that wants to do that. And I think now we've got a group of players that are capable of doing that, Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Two more storylines to come from this. One potential and one certainty. And they both come from Aston Villa. A certainty is that Celtic will face John McGinn in the Champions League, the player that they could have signed back in 2018. Yes. He was so close to joining Celtic. There was a bit of a haggling over the fee, and he went to Aston Villa as well, as Celtic allowed Aston Villa into it. They offered more money. They were in the Championship, and John McGinn moved. So he's going to be playing against his boyhood team. He's made it no secret that he's a boyhood Celtic fan. So he'll be excited to be welcoming his boyhood team to his adopted team in Birmingham. Also, for potential, Austin Trusty might be playing against a potential rival of his in Aston Villa, because he used to play for Birmingham City. He was there on loan from Arsenal. So there's a Birmingham rivalry between the two. So that could be a quick return for him after a couple of years. So it's all excitement. This is the great thing about the 8 ties and the mixtures between pot 1, 2, 3, and 4. In the old group stage, you knew what teams were playing what. It was all very augmented and sorted. But now there's an excitement. There's different teams from different pots here, there, and everywhere. I don't know about you, Todd. I just really enjoyed watching that and watching it all unfold. And the amount of storylines and the fact that it's a favourable draw helps it as well for Celtic. Celtic could have had a shocking draw. They could have had the likes of Real Madrid, Arsenal, etc. But they've managed to avoid them. Dortmund, Atalanta, difficult ties. Aston Villa, probably the most difficult pot 4 side, but a very, very favourable draw. Exciting times.
Yeah, I mean, we were in the group chat and I text after about 15 minutes, the first couple of pots, and I said, "A Celtic in this draw?"
They didn't seem
to be featuring, did we? But I was actually quite chuffed at that, because it was all the bigger teams that seemed to be getting drawn against each other, and I was like, "That's good. We're so far ducking under the radar and not drawing any big heavyweights." But yeah, listen, I'm always excited. I'm the eternal optimist, dreamer, romanticist, call me what you like, whenever the Champions League draw is made and Celtic are in it. always speak highly of our chances, because I just think, if they turn up at Celtic Park, Celtic can be a match for anybody. They've just let themselves down badly on the European stage for so long, and it's demoralising. But I just think there's something different, and something different being the new format in this competition. Something different about this manager getting into this competition. There's something different clearly about the way Celtic are going about their transfer business. Okay, they've left it late, but they're starting to strengthen in the areas that you want, and bringing in players you hope are of the quality required to move it on, take it to that level where you can compete in the Champions League, and you can go to the group phase, the knockout phase. The knockout phase where you're already in the league phase. And Brendan Rodgers wants to be that manager that restores that, as I've said before, that battered reputation, the pride. He wants to get Celtic's prestige back at that level, their honour back. And looking at that, you're thinking, if there's never been a better opportunity to do that when you look at those 8 teams. It could have been, as I say, a lot crueler, and has been cruel to Celtic in the past with some of the Champions League draws. I think Celtic have got a fighting chance in more than a fighting chance in some of those games, Ryan, and they should be earmarking the ones you say, right, we'll go for it in them all, basically. That's what I'm saying. But obviously, Dortmund and Atalanta are a step up in class, and Aston Villa are going to be a step up in class from what you're normally used to. But the rest, you're thinking, right, we're in here, we're in this mix. Let's show why we're in this mix. Let's show why we're in this esteemed company.
There's really appetising home ties in this for Celtic. Leipzig, a team that Celtic have beaten in the past. Club Brugge, a team that have done really, really well with their recruitment in recent years. They are a success story in Belgium for sure. Young boys, Switzerland, they're always there or thereabouts. They're in the Europa League, in the Conference League this year. They're in the Champions League, so that says something as well. Slovan Bratislava, a winnable tie for Celtic. So it's an exciting one. It's one that you can't wait for. Players like Hatate, Callum McGregor, Nicholas Kuhn, some of the new boys that are coming in as well. The likes of Arne Engels. This is what it's all about. This is one of the selling points for Celtic. And these groups, that doesn't always happen like this. You can get a really difficult draw. I was saying in a couple of the podcasts before, you can't get an easy or a hard draw. You can definitely get more difficult draws. You can get harder draws than this. That is for sure. But it's all on paper, and Celtic have got to be in it to win it in these games. Looking specifically at the home games, they're ties that Celtic can win if they've got the fortress behind them, the 60,000 fans behind them. It's going to be absolutely raucous, and I cannot wait to be sampling that. To be honest, it's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, you have to target those home games from the off and just say, right, maximise the point tally from the home games. That gives you every chance to go and do something in this group. Just want to say thank you to the 1,266 people and rising 1,288 people that are joining us live. Incredible numbers and incredible support that you're giving us over the past while. And we'd just like to also say, want to support us even more than you see the strapline running along the bottom. Yeah, ticker tape. If you can support our work, and you can join the YouTube members channel, it costs you $2.99 a month, and you get early access to all the videos that we do on the channel. You get priority comments, and you also get exclusive members chat function as well. That's $2.99 a month, guys. Get yourself onto that as well. But thank you, because we've noticed a big upsurge in people joining us live, Ryan. The YouTube video numbers are doing great, and we've always said we can't do it without your support. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the 1,300 or so that are on this chat tonight, just talking about something that we all hold dear to our hearts, and that's Celtic Football Club. And things are moving in the right direction, Ryan, off the park. Yeah, we left some of our transfer business late, but better late than never. If we get another couple of players in tonight, how high will we be scraping us off the ceiling, Ryan? And a favourable Champions League draw. It's turning out to be a Carlsberg Thursday, isn't it? As the old saying goes.
It's a good start to the week so far. Celtic have still got work to do in two areas in particular, both on and off the pitch. But if they can navigate their way through the end of this transfer window and navigate the game on Sunday, then they go into the international break with this excitement, knowing that the Champions League has been favourable. The draw has been favourable to Celtic. And if they can get the players in the door that are required, who knows? This might even prompt them to make other signings. We don't know. I know it'd be late in the day, but now is let's go all in, as it was the saying when Brendan Rodgers came to the club for the first time back in 2016. Let's go all in. It was the poker tifo. I think they should go all in for this. If they're dangling on a couple of players, depending on the draw, and I don't want them to do their business like that, but if that is the case, then I want them to, pull the trigger really and get those players through the door.
They can recoup the money that they spend by winning football matches at this level. Yep. Was it over £2 million for a win? Something like that, isn't it? In these games. So, you win all your 4 games, you're bringing in the guts of 8, 9 million, possibly 10 million quid. So, if you win on your travels, that's double figures of millions. So you have to go for it. You have to just say, do you know what? This is it. This is where we belong. Prove we belong here. Let's have a rip at this competition. And I'm looking at those teams and I'm thinking, yeah, we're going to have a rip at you. The chips will fall where they may. I hesitate to use the words that this game's winnable, that game's winnable. But you look at that and nobody scares you. I'm not scared of any of those opponents, Ryan. Even Dortmund away and Atalanta away. I'm like, bring it on. Let's go toe-to-toe with 2 heavyweights. Let's measure ourselves at that. It's exciting.
Some of those...
I, for one, can't wait for this, and you're pitting yourself against some, Borussia Dortmund Champions League runners-up, Atalanta Europa League winners. Let's go toe-to-toe with them, Ryan. Let's see where we are. Let's see if we can mix it in that exalted company and prove once and for all that we're back at this level and when we can compete.
Yeah, that's the case. Some of that money that's coming into the club through the Champions League will be going automatically back out of the club and heading its way to Sheffield United, by all accounts, if reports are to be believed in the past 5 minutes or so. Celtic are close to agreeing a deal with Sheffield United for centre-back Austin Trusty. It's understood a deal worth up to $6 million is being discussed. Some details are still to be ironed out by the clubs, but it looks as if that's going in the right direction. Brendan Rodgers is getting a new centre-back in amongst the ranks, another American in the defensive back line. It could be the case that Celtic have 3 out of their 4 centre-backs hailing from North America. Let's talk about that. That's something that will have been unheard of. What do you think about that, Tony? A bit of breaking news on the Champions League draw show.
I'm delighted with that. Now all I want is a left back to really, put the square pegs in square holes.
We've got a left back by.
Well, I suppose
the Barcelona left back.
Yeah.
A left winger maybe.
No. I mean, Vai's on loan, isn't he? You might say cheerio to him.
Now you're just being greedy, Tony. Come on.
I know, that's true. But I guess it'll be interesting to see. But at least, though the managers identified the problem positions that we've all identified. Left back, centre back, and a defensive midfielder. You can't say fairer than that, Ryan. And spending a record transfer fee on one of those players, and then a substantial outlay on a centre back. So I think that's fair. I would have been chuffed at that. We did say at the top of the week that 4 would be ideal in terms of players coming in. That's 3 in, isn't it? If Trusty comes in, Bivai, and obviously Enkel. So I'm really pleased with that. Can we add more? Let's see. I know it's late in the day, but they'll still got work to do to make this team, to get this team to where the manager wants it. So yeah, I'm delighted. I'd always said all we had to go on was the manager's words and his promises, and the way he spoke to the fans, saying that he was the fans representative, he knows the responsibility that he had in this window, and telling you that it wasn't ideal the way they'd conducted their business, but telling you it won't happen again. But we spoke on Monday, and I said he had the look of a man who knew things were happening. He spoke like a man, excuse me, who knew that things were bubbling away in the background, and it's proved to be the case. You know, they've been in for Bogarts as well. Whatever's happened there, it's not come off. Sanchez, Arvin Sanchez, that's not happening
Be a
either.
quick
So,
return. Well, aye.
you
Is
know,
that the
so
latest with Sanchez? It's not
I
going to
believe so.
happen.
Yeah, but again, there's still time for Celtic to go back in and conduct these deals, or conclude these deals if they want to. So, things are moving in the right direction, let's put it that way. And I think the Celtic supporters will feel a lot better about themselves tonight, having seen the players that are coming in, and also looking at that draw and the manager, mood music and getting ducks in a row and all that kind of stuff. So I think, we always had that, and he always told us, wait till the end of the window, August the 30th, we will be strengthened. We felt we were significantly weakened when Matt O'Reilly left. Still wait and see the eye test with the likes of Encles and Trusty and Vi, but it's certainly moving the way you wanted it, isn't it? You're not as downcast as you were, say, on Monday.
No, it's definitely the mood music has changed and changed for the better in the past couple of days. I would say things are finally moving in the right direction transfer wise. The Champions League draw has been a major plus. This has been a plus today. As it was going, I know I agree with you, Tony. I was like, we're Celtic in this draw for the first couple of teams, but once it was, I'm guessing it was taking a wee bit for Celtic to get announced in the draw. But once Celtic's name was in the draw, there was an excitement. Yeah,
not earlier.
I mean, I thought of another potential storyline. These keep on coming to me. Nicholas Kuhn was at RB Leipzig as a youth player as well, so he will be returning, or he will be facing off against a team that he knows very, very well. If Sanchez was to come through the door, he would be going. Or he would be playing against Young Boys at home as well, a Swiss team who he would have came up against at Lausanne. Of course, you're saying that it might not happen, and maybe Celtic will go for an alternative name down the line. But it's definitely something to keep an eye out on. But very, very exciting. Is there anything else that you want to discuss about the Champions League draw? I think we've talked about every team. We're probably gonna go in a bit more detail with every single team when we get the fixtures, and then we can put all our ducks in a row, and I'll try and do as many videos as I can with experts for every single one of these teams, so that you know exactly what is in store for Celtic when they face these teams home and away. Is there anything else you want to add, Tony, before we stop this broadcast?
I think Paul Lambert will be getting the tap on the shoulder to come on and speak to us, Ryan, about Borussia Dortmund. We shall see. Paul's a good friend of the programme. He's been on a couple of times, so we'll try and arrange that one. I'm sure he'll be perfectly amenable to that. He's a good lad as Paul, and I think that's two of his favourite subjects you'll be speaking about, Ryan, Celtic and Borussia Dortmund. So should be good to go on that one. Here's hoping.
Well, the team that Celtic have faced most recently is Borussia Dortmund out of all of these teams in a charity match at the end of the season. So they'll have a chance to maybe play a return leg. Celtic won that game. Yeah, he was. I don't know if anybody else in that team will be involved for both sides in that game against Borussia Dortmund. But maybe a bit of a higher quality affair, but definitely a great affinity between the two sides, Celtic and Borussia Dortmund. It's great that they're going to be able to share that stadium, the Signal Iduna Park, the Westfalen Stadium together. That's going to be some night. I think that's the standout tie for me in this whole group stage, or not in the whole group stage, in the whole league phase for Celtic anyway. Out with Aston Villa at Birmingham.
I was there when they lost in the 90s, Ryan. Lost 1-0 and came back to Celtic Park, and I think Stefan Chapuisat, Swiss striker who was fantastic for Dortmund, gave Celtic a torrid time. And Michael Zorc, I think, scored. They beat Celtic 2-1, beat them 3-1 over 2 legs, 1-0 away.
I think he's still higher up at Dortmund at the moment.
Zorc's one of the directors, isn't he? Or certainly high up in the. Paul Lambert speaks very highly of him, but he scored. Him, Stefan Chapuisat and Michael Zorc scored 2-1 at Celtic Park after a 1-0 win over in Germany, and I was at the 1-0 defeat in Germany. Celtic actually played really, really well. Felt we had a chance coming back to Glasgow, but Dortmund turned it on that night. 2 quick goals, second half, if memory serves. I'm getting old, right? Sometimes it doesn't serve you properly. They did beat us 2-1. I know
You're
that.
more
They beat us
experienced, Tony.
2-1.
We don't use that word here. You're more experienced.
That's what, but yeah, they were a good side as well. But yeah, listen, I'm astounded that 1,300 people are on this program. I just thank you so much. Really appreciate this.
Second show of the day too, and we do
The
apologise that we were a bit earlier this morning. I did put it out on our X page that we were going live at 8:30, but I understand that maybe people didn't see that, and hopefully that is available there if you want some not out of date news, but if you want some news from this morning, and there may be updated news now with the Champions League draw. We were talking about that in a wee bit more detail this morning about who we'd maybe like to get. But we know who we've got now. We know who Celtic are going to be playing in the Champions League. So that's very, very exciting. If excuse me, I'm losing my voice there as well. A lot of talking today, Tony. That's what happens. I think we'll leave it at that. 35 minutes. Incredible amount of people that are watching this video. 1,250 is an incredible number. Tony, thank you very much for joining me on not one but two shows today. A new show will be coming out in the coming days, a very special show focused around something very special happening at the weekend. An old rivalry rekindled at the weekend at Celtic Park. Spoiler alert. But that is going to be available in the next few days, and it's really one that's not to be missed.
A small matter of association football happening in
That's it,
Sunday
absolutely.
in Glasgow's East End.
I think it speaks for itself, Tony, to be honest with you. The game does speak for itself. Thank you to everybody that's joined us. I hope you guys are as excited as we are with the draw. It's a very favourable draw for Celtic, both in home and away ties. A couple of glamour ties there as well. There really is something for everyone in this league phase that Celtic have been drawn out in. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back at 10 a.m. tomorrow to discuss all of this and more, maybe a bit of transfer news as well as that small matter that we were talking about a couple of minutes ago that's happening at the weekend. But until then, have a very good evening, guys, and we will see you all